guys, today we're going to be continuing The Tale of Emily Windsnap by Liz Kessler, Chapter 10. What the heck is my hair doing? I don't know what my hair's doing. I'm so sorry. Chapter 10. Mom always sleeps in on Sundays. She says even God had a day of rest, and she doesn't see why she can't. I'm not allowed to disturb her until she says it's morning, which usually is until around noon. I paced up and down the boat, willing her to wake up. What if she slept right through the afternoon and woke up at coffee time? Disaster! I couldn't take the risk of Mr. Beeston showing up before I'd spoken to her, so I broke a golden rule. I crept into her room and sat on her bed. Mom, I staged whispered from the end of the bed. She didn't stir. I inched farther up and leaned toward her ear. Mom, I croaked a bit louder. She opened one eye and then closed it again. What do you want? She grumbled. You have to get up. What's the matter? I want to go out. Mom groaned and turned over. Mom, I want us to go out together. Silence. Please get up. She turned back to face me and opened her eyes a crack. We never do anything together, I said. Why now? Why can't you leave me in peace? What time is it anyway? I quickly turned her alarm clock around so she couldn't see it. It's late. Come on, Mom, please. Mom rubbed her eyes and lay on her back. I don't suppose you're going to give me any peace until I do, are you? I smiled hopefully. Just leave me alone and I'll get up. I didn't move. How do I know you won't go back to sleep the minute I leave? Emily, I said I'll get up and I will. Now leave me alone. And if you want to get back in my good graces, you make me a nice cup of tea and then I might forgive you. Mom took a bite of her toast. So where do you imagine we're going now that you've ruined my Sunday morning? I knew exactly where we're going. Shiprock Bay, the nearest you could get to Rainbow Rocks by road. I'd been studying the bus routes, and there was one that took us almost all the way there. We could get off the coast road and walk along the headland. It must be worth a try. I had to jog her memory somehow. I just thought we could have a day trip around the coast, I said casually as I popped a piece of toast and strawberry jelly in my mouth. What about Mr. Beeston? What about him? I nearly choked on my toast. We'll have to be back by 3. We can't let him down. Oh, Mom, can't you break your date with him for once? Emily, Mr. Beeston is a lonely man and a good friend. How many times do I have to tell you that? You know I don't like letting him down. He has not broken our arrangement once in all these years, and I'm not about to do it to him now. And it is not a date. Whatever. This wasn't the time to tell her what I knew about that lonely man. What did I know, anyway? Nothing that made any sense. I swallowed hard to get my toast down. My throat was dry. We'd still have some time to get there. Maybe we could actually accidentally on purpose miss the bus back. I'd think of something. I had to. This is really nice, actually. Mom looked out of the window as we bumped around the coast road. It had started to turn inland, and I was trying to figure out which stop would be best for us to try. The ocean looked completely different from this angle. Then I saw a familiar clump of rocks and decided to take a chance. I got up and rang the bell. This is our stop, I said. You know, I think I'm almost glad you woke me up, Mom said as we got off the bus. Not that's an excuse to do it every week. She walked over to a green bench on the headland and that looked out to a sea and sat down. And you've picked such a nice spot too. What are you doing? I asked as she reached into her bag and brought out sandwiches. We're having a picnic, aren't we? Not here. Mom looked around. Why not? I can't see any better. Mom, we're right by the road. Let's walk out toward the water for a bit. She frowned. Come on, just a little way, please, you promised. I did no such thing, she snapped, but she put the sandwiches back away, and we headed along a little headland path that led out toward the beach. After we had been walking for about 15 minutes, the path came to an abrupt end. In front of us was a gravelly climb down the cliff. Now what? Mom looked around. Let's go down there. You must be joking. Have you seen my shoes? I looked at her feet. Why hadn't I thought to tell her not to wear her platform sandals? They're okay, I said. Emily, I'm not going to break my ankles just so you can drag me off some dangerous cliff. She turned around and started walking back. No, wait! I looked around desperately. She couldn't leave. She had to see the rocks. A winding path lay almost hidden under brambles, stony and rough, but not nearly as steep as the other one. Let's try here, I said. And look, it gets flat again over there if we just get down this part. I don't know. Mom looked doubtfully down the cliff. Come on, let's try it. I'll go first, and then I can cushion your fall if you trip and go flying. I tried an impish smile, and she gave in. If I break my legs, you're bringing me breakfast in bed every day until I'm better. Deal. I picked my way through the brambles and stones, checking behind me every few seconds to make sure Mom was still there. We managed to get down to the rocks in one piece. Mom rubbed her elbow. Ouch, thorns. She pulled up a piece of seaweed and rubbed it up on her arm. I gazed in front of her, and I gazed in front of us. Just a few yards of water separated us from rainbow rocks. I couldn't help smiling as I watched the sea washing over the flat rocks, rainbow water caressing them with every wave. Mom, I took a deep breath. Do you believe in mermaids? I asked, my throat tight and strained. My mom laughed. Mermaids? Oh, Emily, you do ask some silly. But then she stopped. She dropped the seaweed on the ground, looking out to sea. Her face went all hard. What is it, Mom? I asked. Where are we? She whispered. Just by the coast. I just thought it would be nice to go out for. What is this place? I hadn't actually thought about what I'd say once we got here. What would she do if she knew, not just about Jake, but about me too? What if she only half remembered? She might think we were both freaks. Maybe she'd be ashamed of us. Why hadn't I thought this through? I cleared my throat. It's just some rocks, I said carefully, isn't it? Mom turned to me. I've been here before. She said, her face scrunched up as if she was in pain. When? I don't know, but I know this place. Shall we go further down? No. She turned back the way we'd come. Emily, we need to get back. Mr. Beeston will be expecting us. But we just got here. Mr. Beeston won't be around for ages. I can't stay here, Mom said. I've got a bad feeling about it. We're going home. She started walking back so quickly I hardly kept up. We ate our sandwiches on that green bench on the headland after all. A bus went whizzing past just as we were approaching the road, so there was nothing to do but wait for the next one. We ate in silence, we knowing what to say, not knowing what to say. Mom gazing into space. I kept wanting to ask her things or tell her things, but where could I start? Eventually another bus came and we rode home in silence as well. By the time we got back to Brightport Pier, it was nearly 4 o'clock. Are you angry with me? I asked as we let ourselves into the boat. Angry? Why? You haven't done anything wrong, have you? Mom searched my face. I wanted to have a nice day out, and now you're gotten all sad. Mom shook her head. Just thoughtful, sweetheart. There was something about that place. Her voice trailed off. What? What was it? What was it? It was such a strong memory, but I don't even know what it was. She shook her head again and took her coat off. Listen to me. Talking dribble as usual. We're not talking dribble at all, I said urgently. What was the memory? Mom hugged her coat. Do you know, it wasn't a memory of a thing, more of a feeling of something. I felt an overwhelming feeling of love. Love, and then something else, sadness, enormous sadness. Mom took her coat down to the engine room to hang it up. I told you I was talking nonsense, didn't I? She called. Now get the tea kettle on and I'll go and give Mr. Beeston a shout. I'll bet he's wondering where we've been. I glanced out of the window as I filled the pier. I filled the pier. No, I filled the kettle. Mr. Beeston was on his way up the pier. My whole body shivered. He was striding fast and didn't look happy. Pound, pound, pound! He banged on the roof as Mom came back on the kitchen. Oh, good, he's here. Mom went to let him in. Hello, she smiled. I was just coming to. Where have you been? He demanded. We've been out for a little adventure, haven't we, Emily? Just along the. I was here at 3 o'clock, he snapped, stabbing a finger at his watch. I waited a whole hour. What's the meaning of this? His head snapped back across to face me. I swallowed hard. Mom frowned at us both. Come on, there's no need to get upset, she said. Let's have some coffee. She went to get the cups and saucers. What have you got for us today, Mr. B? Some lovely cinnamon buns with vanilla glaze. Donuts, Mr. Beeston said without taking his eye off me. I haven't done anything, I said. Of course you haven't, Emily. Who said you did? Now, won't you please join us? Mom held a cup out to Mr. Beeson as he finally turned away. He took his jacket off and folded it over the back of his chair. No thanks. I lay on the sofa and eavesdropped, waiting for Mr. Beeston to try and inject her with the memory jug. I had to catch him in the act to prove to Mom that he wasn't really her friend. But what if he got to me first? What if he injected me with the memory drug too? But he didn't do anything. As soon as they sat down with Mom, he acted as though nothing had happened. They just drank their coffee and munched donuts and chatted about condo owners and the price of mini golf. They barely finished eating when Mr. Beeston glanced at his watch. Well, I've got to move along, he said. You're going? But he hadn't drugged her yet. maybe he didn't do it every week. Well, I'd be waiting for him as soon as he tried. I have a 4:45 appointment, he growled, the left side of his mouth twitching as he spoke, and I don't like to keep people waiting. I didn't say anything. Goodbye, Mr. P. Goodbye, Mary P. He let himself out. Mom started clearing the cups away, and I grabbed a hand towel. So, you were saying earlier, I began as Mom handed me a saucer, saying about our outing. Oh, of course, the little trip to the headland. Mom said, lovely, wasn't it? Not just the headland, I said, the rocks. Mom looked at me blankly. Rainbow rocks? The words caught in my throat as I held my breath. Rainbow what? Mom, don't tell me you've forgotten. The rocks, the rainbow colors, when the sea washed over them, that the way you felt when you were there, love and sadness and stuff. Mom laughed. You know, Mrs. Partington told me about at our last parent-teacher conference that you had a good imagination. Now I know what she means. I stared at her as she bustled around the galley, straightening at the tablecloth and brushing crumbs off the chairs with her hand. Mom, she looked up. Mom, what do you think what we were talking about before Mr. Beeston came along? Mom shut one eye and rubbed her chin. Heck, give me a minute. She looked worried for a moment, then laughed. You know, I can't remember. Gone. Never mind. Now bring me the broom and dustpan. We can't leave the carpet like this. I continued to stare at her. She'd forgotten. He had drugged her after all. But how? And when? Come on, shake a leg. Or do I have to get them myself? I fetched the broom and pan out of the cupboard and handed them to her. Mom, I tried again, and she swept under the table. Do you really not remember? Emily! Mom sat up on her knees and spoke firmly. A joke is a joke, and any joke is usually not funny after a while. Now, I don't want to hear any more nonsense about multicolored rocks, if you don't mind. I've got more important things to do than play along with your daydreams. But it's not a Emily! I knew that tone of voice. It meant it was time to shut up. I picked up the donut bags from the table and went to throw them away. Then I noticed some writing on them. One of the bags, MPW. Why does this one have your initials on it? I asked. I don't know, probably so he knows which donuts are mine. What difference does it make? Come on, Emily. Everyone knows I've got a sweet tooth. I always get the ones with more sugar. But can't you tell which ones have more sugar just by looking at them? Emily, why are you being so difficult today? And what do you have against Mr. Beeston? I won't have you talking about him like this. I'm not listening to another word. But I don't understand. Why can't he just look in the bag? Mom ignored me. Then she started whistling, and I gave up and went back to my cabin. I took the bags with me. They held some kind of answer, I'm sure of it. If only I could figure out what it was. I stared so hard at her initials that my eyes started to water. And then, as the letters blurred under my gaze, it hit me so hard that I nearly fell over. Of course, the memory jugs. He gave it to her and the donuts. Thank you for listening to Chapter 10 of The Tale of Emily Windsnap. All our socials are down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll meet you. Peace. That's a weird way of saying peace.